We're talking about flowers. Yup, not just flowers and how beautiful they are, but the science and research about the impact that flowers have on your life, on your health, on your relationships. Like, it's astonishing how much research there is. Now, I love flowers, and I always have them in my house. I have them growing outside. I buy them at the grocery store. I love fresh cut flowers. You may be the kind of person that loves vegetable gardens. That's not me. You may be the kind of person that loves growing tomatoes on your deck or on your balcony. That's not me. I have a cutting garden for flowers, not a vegetable garden. That's how much I love flowers. Why? Why do I love flowers? Well, probably the same reason you love flowers. I mean, if you stop and think about it, doesn't a flower just kind of lift your mood every single time you look at them? And now, after our conversation today, I just have so much science and research to share with you. It's kind of jaw-dropping. According to research at Harvard Medical School, fresh flowers in your home has such a positive impact on your mood, on your mental well-being. Let me tell you about this research. Dr. Nancy Etkoff of Mass General Hospital here in Boston, she's at Harvard Medical School, did a study that proves that living with cut flowers in your apartment, in your home, strengthens feelings of compassion. Cut flowers decrease anxiety and worry. I know that if you're not a flower person like me, you're probably like, what? Flowers? Anxiety? Come on, Mel. It's kind of easy to be skeptical, right? And so you may be thinking, well, okay, how exactly did Dr. Etkoff and her team at Harvard measure how flowers make you feel? I dug into the research for you, and here's what I found. They had people in this study live with fresh cut flowers in their homes for less than a week. And then they measured them before and after. And the study showed that people who had fresh cut flowers in their house felt an increase in feelings of compassion and kindness for others. Why? Well, I want you to stop and think about a moment when you really did stop and smell the roses. Maybe you're listening to me right now as you're on a walk, or you're sitting at a stoplight in your car. Look around. Is there something blooming? Just think about how insane it is. Like, for real. How the heck did this living work of art unfold in front of my eyes from the dirt? That you take a tulip and it starts with this like dried up brown bulb, and you stick it in the soil and it just bursts through the soil and it shoots up this green stem, and then this beautiful flower forms. It's so beautiful. And you also know that it's fragile, that if you touch the petals too hard, you'd rip it off. Just staring at a beautiful bloom, it activates this sense of the beauty and the fragility of life within you. And I think that's what activates kindness and compassion as you look at it. And you just go, isn't that beautiful? And you feel yourself soften. That's what the researchers are talking about. You know, it's also why instinctively you send flowers to somebody when they lose a loved one, don't you? Or you send flowers to someone on their birthday. Or when you want to express this love that you have for someone who's in your life. You send flowers because they stand for something. Flowers represent joy. They represent beauty. They represent awe. They represent the fragility of life. So does it really surprise you that in this study from Harvard, that people in the study said they felt less negative after being around flowers in their house for just a few days? It doesn't surprise me at all when I really stop and think about it. Of course it would have that impact on you. In fact, that's not all the research found. The researchers at Harvard found that the blooms brought people so much joy that they started reporting in the study that they were looking forward to seeing the blooms first thing in the morning. And I'm going to ask you to stop and think about that finding for just a moment, too. When somebody sends you flowers, right? Or you take the time to cut flowers, you buy a beautiful bouquet for yourself at the farmer's market and you bring them home. And then you put them in a vase and you put them somewhere. You typically put them in the dining room table, or you put them in the middle of the island of the kitchen, or you put them on your desk or next to your, the dresser, next to your bed so you can see them. Isn't it true that when you have beautiful flowers in your kitchen, that simply walking into the kitchen and seeing them on the table or on the counter or on your desk, it just kind of makes you feel better? In fact, this morning I was out with the dogs. So, the dogs always wake me up, and then I let them out and I was walking around the yard and I cut a bunch of lilacs off the bush. And when I got into the house, I'm like arranging the lilacs into this glass vase and I put them in the kitchen and I stand back and I smile at them. And it's like having a friend greet you. In fact, before I jumped on the mic, I walked back down to the kitchen to fill my water up. There they were. And bonus with lilacs, because you can smell them. And so you have this amazing bonus. You see them, they're beautiful, like a work of art. They're there like a friend greeting you. They smell great. And look, it takes a lot to get me out of bed. I'm not the kind of person who will get out of bed for donuts or for, bacon being cooked in the kitchen. Even some days, my two dogs, Homie and YOLO, they'll be sitting there like, come on, Mom. And I'm not rolling out of bed. But I will roll out of bed to see the dahlias that I cut blooming in the kitchen, because that is a beautiful, beautiful sight. And this plays right into the research, because in this study at Harvard, it was proven that flowers also provide a boost of energy. And you've kind of felt it, haven't you? But I bet you didn't notice it. See, I believe that energy that the researchers are talking about comes from that tiny feeling of awe. That when you really look at a flower and you marvel at it for a second, there's this just feeling of being awestruck. And that's where this energy comes from. It's like a life force energy. It's almost like sunshine in a vase. They make you smile and feel better. And now you know why. Because the research says it's true. And you want to know something that's also cool? There's even more science about flowers. There was another study done by researchers at Rutgers University that was all about what happens when you give flowers as a gift. Wait till you hear this. This is mind-blowing. When you give flowers as a gift, it activates something inside you that makes you feel more emotionally connected to the person that you're giving flowers to. How cool is that? And let's go back to that research from Harvard, because I think I know why the gift of flowers makes you feel more connected to the person that you're giving flowers to. Flowers are almost like a surrogate for you. Flowers are just like a representation of your love. The flowers are a reminder to the person that you send them to smile. They're a thing of beauty. And because they're alive, it's like sending them life force in a vase. And then you get to put something on the card. And when you write something on the card, guess what? The flowers even take on a bigger meaning, because the flowers represent the full sentiment of what you just wrote on the card. I love you. I miss you. Get better. I believe in you. Congratulations. Can you tell in my voice I'm just smiling, even talking about flowers? And I bet you are too. You want to know why? Because right now, as I'm talking about flowers and the beauty of flowers and the awe-struck feeling of really taking in a beautiful bloom, and I'm talking about how it makes you feel more connected to people and the moments in life where you send them to people, I guarantee you're thinking of someone. You're either thinking of someone who sent you flowers recently, or you're thinking of someone who you're like, oh, I should really send them some flowers. Like, I love that person. And yeah, you should. In fact, I got a story to tell you. Just last week, I had a really hard week at work. We are growing at hyperspeed. There's a lot of changes going on. I'm working on my next book. Oakley is graduating. So I am just feeling burnt out and tired. And I've been up here in Vermont, just cranking away. And earlier this week, a friend of mine, Dr. Judith Joseph, who is this extraordinary MD, PhD researcher who has been on the Mel Robbins podcast. She is unbelievable. She sent me the most just insane arrangement of flowers. Like, I am talking jaw on the floor. 2 delivery people have to carry it in. It was the size of, when you know those exercise balls at a gym? They're usually that sort of like bluish color, and you see people kind of sit on them and do sit-ups on them. They're probably 3 feet in diameter. You know what I'm talking about, right? This arrangement that Dr. Judith sent to me was that big. And I remember, this must have been a decade ago, I once saw Oprah Winfrey post a flower arrangement that either somebody had sent her or she had sent to somebody else. And it was an arrangement of either like bright red peonies or like 400 roses. And it was this massive mound of flowers. And I thought at the time, I have never seen an arrangement like that. That is the most extraordinary thing. I will never receive anything that extraordinary because I will never do anything that incredible that would be like, literally, I remember seeing that over a decade ago. And the arrangement that Dr. Judith Joseph sent was an arrangement on that scale. And it was all my favorite colors. Like, it was all the jewel tones. It was like coral peonies and pink roses and oranges and apricots and just you know what I'm talking about. It was like a jewel box 3-foot globe of the most incredible flowers. And it went to our studios in Boston. I wasn't in our studios in Boston last week. I was 3.5 hours away in Vermont. And you want to know what? I literally felt sad that I missed them. Like, it goes to show you that flowers represent the person who sent them. It's as if one of my most favorite people stopped by the office while they were in town and I wasn't there to see them. And so my heart sank, and I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing the pictures and I want to see them. And so you know what I did? I gave them to a person on our team, Charlotte, who has been burning the midnight oil. She has been killing it. And I just said, you know what, Charlotte? I think you should take these home. You're going to need 4 of your colleagues to help you get them to your apartment, but you should take these home and you should enjoy them all weekend. And you know what she did? She got them home and she kept sending me photos of the flowers all weekend and just talking about how much joy they gave her. And in every photo, you could see that the flowers were opening a little bit more. And this arrangement was like a living thing. And this is what the researchers are talking about. This connection. The flowers that Dr. Judith Joseph gave to me connects me to Dr. Judith. And then I shared them with Charlotte, somebody that I love and somebody that I wanted to do something awesome for. And that connects me to Charlotte. And the story doesn't end there because, that was kind of midweek. And so I walk into my house here in Vermont on Friday, and we had been working all day, and I've got this little cabinet that was my great-grandmother's that sits in the entry of our house. And it's got this marble top. It's this antique cabinet that was, in her house in Buffalo, New York. Normally, you know what's on top of that? Dog leashes and dog treats. Although we don't have the dog treats there anymore because YOLO has figured out he can jump up and eat the dog treats on the thing. I know, naughty. Normally, it's like dog leashes and people's keys. Sitting there on Friday at the end of a work week, there was an arrangement just like the one that Dr. Judith had sent to me at the studios in Boston. I nearly fell over. And I pulled the card out and I'm like, who the hell sent? It was from my sister-in-law, Christine, who's also my business partner. She's the chief operating officer, and she knows just how much I've been working. I burst into tears. I burst into tears. The thing was so freaking heavy, I couldn't even carry it into the kitchen. I had to get Chris to help me. And she must have sent a photo of the arrangement that went to the studio in Boston to a florist here in Vermont and was like, just do this. Because that's exactly what showed up. And I burst into tears because I just felt so connected to her. I felt so seen. Like it would have been the same thing if she had hopped on a plane and flown here from Chicago and been standing in the entry waiting to give me a hug. And they've been sitting in the island in our kitchen for 10 days. And every time I walk into the kitchen, it's as if Christine is sitting in the middle of the island waiting to give me a hug. The research is right. They make me feel better. And the flowers make me feel connected to Dr. Judith and to Charlotte and to Christine. And I know you've felt this, haven't you? And I want you to know that when you send a beautiful arrangement to someone else, especially if it's out of the blue, they feel it too. They feel your love. They feel seen. And every time they see those flowers, they think of you. And by the way, this works for everybody. Flowers is not something limited to a gender because flowers are about love and beauty and life and connection and magic and awe. That's why they're so powerful. And when you give yourself flowers, guess what? You honor your beauty. They are an act of love to you. I am kind of a flower freak. I love growing them. I love cutting them. I love arranging them. I love sending them to people. Can you tell? I love flowers. And there's one thing that I love almost as much as I love flowers. And I guarantee you, this simple thing is right in front of your nose.